My name is Jennifer Ortiz. I'm a criminology and criminal justice professor here at IUS. I joined the IUS faculty in August 2015 as a visiting professor. I joined in August 2016 as a full-time tenure-track professor. I was at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City.
Okay.
I was born and raised in New York City, never lived anywhere else until I moved here for this job. I was looking for several things when I was looking for a position. One is I wanted a university that catered more to non-traditional students, and because IUS is a commuter campus, we get a lot of students who are working full-time. And I wanted that type of student because that was the type of student I was. When I was an undergrad, I worked full-time and went to school full-time, so I wanted, to help students like myself. I also wanted to get as far away from the big city life as possible. And New Albany, Indiana, to me is a really nice small town. In the fall, I received 3 grants from IUS, 3 internal grants to do a study looking at the experiences of formerly incarcerated individuals in this area of the country. And the study is particularly of interest because Frontline did a documentary on Louisville I think in 2014, just showing how bad the reentry services actually are and the lack of services. So I saw that and I thought, well, that would be an interesting thing to explore. Louisville is a major city, but it doesn't have the same reentry services that cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City, or even Miami have. It's an area that needs exploration. We don't have many studies on reentry in this area of the country. So my study is really getting the voices of the individuals experiencing it. So we're interviewing formerly incarcerated individuals in this area who have either already re-entered or are currently going through the reentry process. It's really interesting because 60 Days In was so the sheriff, Jamie Knoll, used to work with another professor here in law enforcement, Joseph Grant. And he asked Joseph Grant if there was somebody that could help him conduct interviews of people who had just come out of jail. And Joseph Grant came to me and asked me if I wanted to help the sheriff. I didn't know it was for a TV show. I thought I was just helping the sheriff interview people. So I said, yeah, of course I'll help the sheriff. And in my mind, I thought I'll build connections in the area. I'm new here. My area is prisons and reentry, so I can build a connection. And so I got dressed up. I met with the sheriff. And when I walked in, there was a full camera crew, a sound guy. And then he fully explained to me what was happening and that it was for this TV show. And so that day and the following day we spent, I think, 15 hours filming these interviews with the individuals who had just come out of this program. So that's how I got involved with 60 Days In. It was really just a matter of chance. And luckily, I decided, I wanted to make a really good impression with the sheriff, so I dressed really nice in a suit, really well put together. And luckily I did, because it ended up, the footage ended up being used for 60 Days In for a national TV show. I want to show students what a master's level course feels like. And the idea of sitting and discussing ideas. They're all seniors, so at this point I feel they should know the basics of criminal justice. At this point we need to debate ideas and policies and take our discussions beyond what's the definition of police, what's the definition of this, can you regurgitate textbook material. I want you to be able to sit there and debate ideas and policies, which is what they will do whether or not they go to graduate school. They become police officers or politicians or corrections officers. They're going to be facing policy on an everyday basis, and I want them to be able to articulate how they feel about something and try to create change. And I decided to become an advisor really because I had met LGBT students here who had told me that they weren't comfortable, that it didn't have a sense of community outside of IUS. And to me, being from New York City, it's the exact opposite. There is a sense of community for the LGBT community. And so I really felt for these students. And so before I even became advisor, I marched with them in several Pride events in the local area. And so when Dr. Medina asked me, I was glad, I was proud to be able to help the group. I'm also the faculty advisor for the Criminal Justice Students Association. And through that association, we have been able to put on a lot of interesting events. And my goal is to continue to grow that group, to continue to have events. We're having a major event on reentry on April 5th. We're bringing in guest speakers who are formerly incarcerated and our academics to speak about their experiences and issues of reentry. We've held documentary screenings on issues of masculinity and gender, issues of race and crime, mass incarceration. So to continue to host events like that, I think, helps educate the community and provide people with a knowledge outside of my criminal justice students, provide them with some knowledge about the issues that are happening. My goal is to continue to explore reentry in this area. So we're in the first year of this study of what I hope will be a multi-year study. This year is just getting the voices of the formerly incarcerated. My goal is to next year implement phase 2, which would be talking to people who provide these services and what they feel is potentially missing. And then phase 3, I haven't really decided, but I might want to talk to corrections officials and officers about what their perspective is about reentry, because they have a lot to say and their voices aren't heard either in the existing literature.